from Cincinnati. Really? My family's from Cincinnati. When they first came here. Tina Zippin. Hi. Hi, Shira. What brings you to New Jersey?
My sister-in-law's parents.
I know.
And she and my brother had a baby 2 months ago, and they've been here for summer.
Very nice.
Yeah. And then I started coming here for services, so no one
All right, we'll begin our service on page 6. Page 6 with Shalom Aleichem. Everyone good? Welcome. Good Shabbos. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boechem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu ni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei El Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'd like to invite up Shira Krause to light our Shabbos candles, and I will make sure that the candles is light right here.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We'll join together on page 7 with the responsive reading. Come, let us welcome Shabbat. Light is the symbol of the divine. Light is the symbol of the divine within us. Light is the symbol of the divine law. Light is the symbol of Israel's mission. Continuing on page 8, may the Eternal bless us with Shabbat joy.
Amen.
May the Eternal bless us with Shabbat peace.
Amen.
May the Eternal bless us with Shabbat holiness.
Amen.
Continue on page 9 with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likra kala yaredai 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 panei Shabbat. Nekabela lechai doidi likrat kala yananai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Shamor B'Zachor B'Dibor Echad Hishmiyanu El Hanuchad Adonai Echad Ushamo Echad Lishem Otiferet V'Litihila Lechai Doidi Likrat Kala Yadadai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Lechai Doidi Likrat Kala Yadadai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Likrat Shabbat Lechu V'Nilcha Kihi Mekor HaBracha Mirosh Mikedem Nesuka Sof Maaseh B'Makshva Tehila Lechai Doidi Likrat Kala Yadadai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Lechai Doidi Likrat Kala Yadadai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Hidori Hidori Kiva Orech Kumi Ori 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 Shir Daberi Kavod Adonai Alai Negila Lechai Doidi Likrat Kala Yadadai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Lechai Doidi Likrat Kala Yananai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. We now rise and face the exit. Boi v'shalom atzeret ba'ala Gam b'simcha u'b'tzola Toch emunei am sigula Boi kala Lechai doidi likrat kala Yananai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Lechai Doidi Likrat Kala Yananai 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 Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Remain standing for page 11, the Hatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash Shamei Rabba Ve'almadi Rahirate v'yimlich malchutei B'chayechon u'vyomechon u'vchayedecho Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yemeru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabba mevorach Le'olam ololmei almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal Shemei Kudusha brechu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran bi'alma v'yemeru Amen. Remain standing for the Baruch Hu on page 12. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Continue on page 13, together. Eternal God, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of the earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, O Eternal, who brings on the evening. Continue on page 14 with the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. You may be seated. Continue with the V'ahavta on page 16. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantan levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shitecha b'beitecha uvletecha v'derech u'shachvecha uvkumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot vein einecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem ekom yisotai v'hitem kidoshim le'lolechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem mi'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Emet. Continue on page 17 once again with the responsive reading. Eternal truth is that you alone are God and there is none else. Let them beat their swords into plowshares. Let nation not lift up sword against nation. Let them study war no more. Let the stranger in your midst be with you as the native, for you are strangers in the land of Egypt. Join together on page 18 with Mi Chamocha. Mi chamocha ba'alim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar ba'kodesh, nora tehilot osei fele, malchutecha ruvanecha bokei yam lifnei Moshe, zeli anu v'yamru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. V'ne'emar ki farad Adonai et Yaakov u'golom yachazak mimenu baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Continue on page 19, once again with a responsive reading. Cause us, O eternal our God, to lie down in peace and to awaken each morning to life renewed with strength. Spread over us the holy shelter of your peace.
Help us to order our lives by your counsel, and lead us in the paths of righteousness. Be a shield about us, protecting us from being sorrow.
Curb also within us the inclination to do evil and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. God, our going out and our coming into life and peace from this time forth and forever.
Blessed are you, O eternal, whose holy shelter of peace is spread over us, over all God's people of Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Continue on page 20 with Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat le'doretan berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat le'doretan berit olam. B'nei b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat le'doretan berit olam ki shet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat le'doretan berit olam uvayom hashvi'i shavat vayinafash Shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asod et ha-Shabbat le'doretan berit olam. We now rise for the Amidah on page 21. The Amidah is on page 21. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotinu v'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot B'imahot, Umevi geula lifnei v'neihem leman shemo b'yahava melech ozer u'moshia u'magen Baruch atah Adonai magen Abraham v'ezrat Sarah atah gibor li'olam Adonai mechaye hakol atah rab lehoshia morid hatal Mekakel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rofei cholim, umatir asorim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al givurot, Umido melach, melech memit, umechaye, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lechachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh Rishim hakadosh ukoshim b'chol yom yachalilucha sela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. You are holy, and your name is holy. Holy ones praise you every day. Blessed are you, eternal our God. We'll daven silently and then afterwards join together on page 29 for Oseh Shalom. We'll join together on page 29 with Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom bin Ramav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Imru Amen. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh Shalom, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. V'yemeru Amen. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos, good Shabbos, David. Good Shabbos, everyone. If you recall from last week's sermon, last week's Torah portion was Parshat Pinchas, and we're at a climactic point of our Torah. Our Torah reading from last week, it ends with a major pandemic that devastated the people of Israel just before they entered into the Holy Land. And only through extreme measures taken by Pinchas and his zealotry, and after separating and isolating ourselves from our neighbors, did we finally overcome the treacherous plague. And the first task at hand after this great plague was to conduct the first official census of each of the tribes of Israel to count who had survived. Then in last week's Torah portion, formal laws of inheritance were established, and Moses appoints Joshua to succeed him into the land of Israel. The description of last week's Torah portion was perfectly metaphoric for the exact time and place where I stood over this past month. Rabbi Levi was bestowing upon me the rights of leadership, as did Moses once upon a time with Joshua. And our first census were in my first weeks at Eitz Chaim, where we counted mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers of our congregation. Yet one final piece remains to be dissected, and it's dissected in this week's Torah portion. It fits perfectly in with our book of Numbers and our metaphor of last week. The final piece of our puzzle is discussed in this week's Torah portion, Parsha Matot-Masei. Parsha Matot-Masei begins at this heightened state of suspense, and the people of Israel, they're literally standing at the gates of the promised land. We've now endured plague and 40 years of wandering, and are now encamped along the Jordan River overlooking the land of Israel, the land of milk and honey. Moses has already appointed Joshua to lead the people now into the Holy Land, and 42 encampments are listed along the Jordan River, which separate Israel from the wilderness. And our people stand ready and prepared to enter into the land with impending hostility that we will face from our neighbors. And as each of the tribes of Israel are sharpening their tools to toil the land, in one hand they hold weapons, and in the other pruning hooks, the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of the tribe of Manasseh, they go before Moses one final time. And the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh, they look around where the tribes of Israel are encamped, east of the river Jordan. And they are enamored not by the promised land of God, but instead by the land where the Israelites have encamped themselves, in the land east of the Jordan River. You see, the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half the tribe of Manasseh, they were pastoral herders of goats and cattle. And the land east of the river Jordan, it was perfect for raising cattle and livestock. And we're talking about 19% of the total population of the Israelites during this time, and they desired to live in a land that was roughly 20% of the land of Israel. Imagine a significant cross-section of people traversing 40 years in the desert, an exodus and miracles from Egypt, and finally a plague, only to decide at the gates of the promised land that the land was not as bountiful as needed or imagined. Moses, in Numbers 32 verse 6, replies to the tribes, "Are your brothers to go to war as you stay here?" And the exchange between Moses and the reluctant tribes reaches an agreement, so that the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh come to terms that everyone may agree to. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, they agree that they will come together to support all of the tribes of Israel in the conquest of the promised land, and in exchange, they will maintain the pastoral livestock of the land east of the River Jordan, outside of the land of Israel. I began my sermon today describing how perfectly last week's Torah portion had been an analogy to our exact time and place, and this week's Torah portion completes the analogy perfectly with the end of Numbers in a full circle. You see, the first few weeks, we counted our tribes of Israel. We counted and had our censuses. Yet something equally impressive and unexpected happened in that time. Many people began tuning in online for our live streaming services, and some of them reached out to me this week. And the audience were people from the tri-state area and elsewhere, even some people from Georgia. And age was represented along a large spectrum of our guests. After our service, I received emails and phone calls from some of these people. And physically distant, emotionally tied together, our guests were present in different ways throughout the weeks, testifying to the vitality of a hybrid model of congregational life, of in-person and virtual congregational life moving past this pandemic. The model fits in seamlessly, though, with our Torah reading of this week, and it bookends our metaphor in a perfect way. Imagine again, from our Torah reading of this week, the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of the tribe of Manasseh. They're standing at the gates of the promised land, and they're ready to descend into the land of Israel. Finally, after the plague and after a lengthy period of isolation, we're ready. But despite traversing the wilderness, surviving the plague, and persevering through the period of isolation, these tribes decided there's something about the wilderness that was worth keeping. The thought of throwing away what they found desirable and frankly necessary for their well-being and the well-being of their tribes was not appealing. So too, in the wake of this pandemic, there will be our tribe of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh in our communities. Some of our community members will be frequently out of state or tuning in, and some too from our community will remain indoors when sick in the future. However, wherever they may be, whether at home or far away as Israel, we will still be able to connect with them and be here online. They are a testament to the vitality and hybridity of congregational life in the future. And just as the tribes outside of the land of Israel were a testament to Jewish life outside of the land of Israel, we need them. We need them just as much as Israel needs a diaspora. They will be here for our community when we need them, and they include our shul mainstays, members of our family and loved ones, and they are part of our tribes of Israel, and we will always love them. We must do our part to keep them part of our family and in our community and always part of Eitz Chaim. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. So we're going to join together for the Misha Berach in just a moment. I'm going to open our ark. I'm going to recite names that have been provided to me from our Misha Berach list this week. As the ark is being opened, please rise. In need of healing of this week are the following names: Maria Finkel, Robert Finkel, Aileen Fine, Elizabeth Lechner, Elliot Silverstone, Steve Opper, Esther Captain, Bill Natras, Marcia Sinkoff, Bradley Mann, Maya Pfeiffer, Faith Friedman, Ira Barokas, Judy Ochelson, Debbie Goldman, Kelly Grunstra, Stellan Martinez, Evie Schneider, Amy Whitcomb, Gladys Namias, Joy Brown, Leslie Dunn, Fran Sedowitz, Michael Lotenberg, Rose and Scott Struman, Helene Grenchi, Amy Appleman, Judy Cohen, Bruce Fleissig, Jack Kushner, Michelle Korn, Evan Michelle Wadika, Sharon Wadner, Zemensky, Jill Lotenberg, Ruth and Jerry Dowse, Alan Robbins, Nancy Ontelany, Linda Bohm, Mark Steinberg, Phil Kaufman, Alexandra Mechner, Sydney Gross, Ken Effick, Erwin Hahn, Debbie Lewis, Jeff Goodman, Seidel Habib, Jordan and Charlie Duffy, Estelle Camp, Ross Paneri, Max Alexander, Elaine Blitz, Nancy Curry, Yitzhak Shlomo, Adele Chabelsky, Richard Habib, Brill and Brooklyn Wiltz, Liz Rockman, Jay Gonzalez, Marty Schneer, Julia Feder, Gigi Claudio Martinez. Hebrew names will include the following as well: Eliyahu Nassim ben Chana, Reuven David ben Chana, Margalit Ziva, Rachel bat Shimon, Yosef ben Barta, Yaakov bat Dina, Yehuda ben Yosefa, Harav Baruch ben Meir Levi bat Alta, Leah bat Henrita, Michael Pigal ben Hilda, Hadza bat Chaya Gisha, Chanasima bat Pina Fig, Abram ben Rina, Elena, Iranon Mendel ben Shara, Fishel bat Chaya Choda, Yehudit Gita bat Miriam Rochel, Nachman ben Malka, Leah Miriam bat Yolia, Devorah Shoshana bat Leah Miriam. Are there any additional name requests? Yes, I've got Vicky Hyatt. Am I pronouncing the last name right?
Vicky Hyatt.
Vicky Hyatt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, Hyatt. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We also have Courtney Zabatchik, Asher Ephraim Zitka. Are there any additional name requests? No? Okay. We will be singing the Misha Berak, Debbie Friedman edition. Misha Berak Avoteinu Mikor Habracha Le'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishe Berak Imotenu Mikor Habracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah sholema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Now turn to the Aleinu on page 30 of our Siddurim. The Aleinu is on page 30. Remain standing for the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol latet gedula liyotzeh breshit shelo atzanu kiyei aratzot velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chalchenu kachem v'goralenu kichol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notei shamayim v'yoser haaretz u'Moshe v'yekaro b'shamayim mima'al u'shchinatu zo b'govhei meromim hu Eloheinu enod emet malkeinu efezulato kakatu b'torato v'yadata hayom v'hoshevota elavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mima'al V'al ha'aretz, v'al ha'aretz, mitzachad, ein od, ein od. Continue on page 31 together. We therefore hope in you, O eternal our God, soon to behold the splendor of your might. Then will false gods vanish from the earth, and the idols will utterly be cut off, to heal the world through the sovereignty of the Almighty. Then will all acclaim you as their God, and forsaking evil, turn to you alone. Let all who dwell on earth acknowledge that unto you every knee must bend, and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you, O eternal our God, let them humble themselves. To your glorious name let them give honor. Let all accept the yoke of your dominion, that you may rule over them soon and forever. For the dominion is yours, and you will rule in glory, as it is written, the eternal will reign forever and ever. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz. Vayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. As it is said, it shall be that the Eternal will reign over the earth, and on that day the Eternal will be one, and God's name will be one. You may be seated. Marilyn, would you like to have the announcements?
Can I do it after Kaddish?
Yeah, you can do it after Kaddish, yes. Okay. So Kaddish can be found on page 33. I'm going to be reciting names that from our community, loved ones that have recently passed, as well as members of our community that we're observing a yortzeit for. If you are in the period of Shoshim, if you're observing the loss of a loved one recently, or observing a yortzeit and the name has not been read aloud, please share with us the name of your loved one so that we as one community can pray for their memory. Recent passings, we have Florence Guttmacher, also have Ruth Lowenthal, Joyce Coven, Robert Pfeiffer, Benjamin Cohen, Judith Ellen Schuler, Philip Balstein, Stanley Taub, Steve Goldblum, Jacob George Tobel, Peter Lizama, Stan Perlman, David Schneider, Raphael Marcus, Florence Schneider, Sylvia Tannenbaum, Stephen Finkel. For our yortzeits of today, we have the following names: Jenny Porras, James Barkley Cass, Morris Lerner, Jane Kaplan, Edna Gerber, Abraham Schwerbert, Marvin Berg, Ruth Schulman, Francis Rychek, Melvin Schwartzberg, Sadie Stuhlmacher, Rose Feiffelbaum, Zelda Axelrod, Helene Feldman, Willie Yevrekis, Ellen Steinloff Benson. Are there any additional names that anyone in our community are observing the yortzeit for or in the period of Shloshim for? No? Okay. The words to the Kaddish are again on page 33. Please rise if it is your custom. Once again, page 33. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shamei rabbah, v'alma divra hirutei v'yemlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye b'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach li'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shamed kudusha berechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bin ramav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved, and let us say, Amen. I'd like to call up Marilyn for our announcements. I have a copy of them for you as well here. So
Liz dropped
it's
it off?
it's a cheat sheet. So
Oh, that's all right. I write. I put
you
together,
got
so
it
I kind
together.
of,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Just, I don't know what she's got there. All right. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So I don't know if anybody noticed, but tomorrow's worship tour study is at 9:30, and we've changed it. Worship's at 10:30 because that's when it always is anyway. We
Yeah.
kept posting 10:15 for
Yeah, we go over.
Ever.
We go over.
You
We
know,
have fun. We have
we always
fun
did with Rabbi Levy too.
Oh, we did. Okay. Okay.
Always did.
Okay.
And for some reason, we never changed the time, and I'm like, this is silly. So it does say it's reality now. It's 10:30. Anyway, so we're having an open house and a brunch and new member recruitment on September 11th. Bring a friend. Might be interested in our congregation. There are incentives if that friend of yours signs up, financial incentives for you, and there's new member rates too for potential new members. We're having a picnic on August 14th in Thompson Park. There's no cost to members, just bring a side dish or appetizer. Do sign up though so we know how much food to buy. The deadline to sign up is next Sunday so that we can go shopping. So if you're planning on coming, rain or shine, please sign up on the website. Interfaith Tea on Wednesday, August 24th at 6 p.m. At the Reformed Church in Spotswood. The discussion this month is how our various houses of worship have embraced people with a LGBTQ background. Our Rabbi Leslie Bergson will be speaking. Jewish Family Services is doing a virtual auction, which ends this weekend. So there's a link on our website. Jewish Family Services provides services for Holocaust survivors, kosher meals on wheels, senior lunch program, senior socialization programs, and lots of good stuff. And they're about 95% of what they take in is actually used for their program. So it's a very effective charity, and it helps everybody in our immediate community. Social Action has stuff on here. RISE, the Interfaith RISE group they're running a backpack drive for the new school year. There's information on the website and the email about that, and just things to keep in mind. The Ritual Committee is meeting on Monday, the 1st. I can't believe it's August already. Social Action, I said the 2nd, but they're actually moving to the second week in August, right? Second Wednesday in August, so I was told after the email went out. Board meetings on Thursday, and there's lots of other stuff on our website and the weekly. If you're not getting the weekly email, go to our website, mtjc.org, and you can sign up for the weekly email yourself. All right, thanks. Shabbat shalom. Up.
August 28th is a blood drive.
Blood drive, right. It's still opening, so last time I checked, right? Yep, blood drive.
All right. Thank you. And once again, I'd like to draw attention to our awesome new bima as it's being built together. Yes. So I come out, I've said a few times, but I like to come out during the day and just enjoy the wood. And I've seen Rick come out here. He was finishing it earlier this week, and he's been spending a lot of time. So it's looking wonderful, and it brings up a visceral sort of memory. Me working in my wood shop in Cincinnati, and Shira was actually there for when I was building this magnificent ark, and I just love the smell of, saw wood, and just love it. So it's nice coming out here every day and reminded of that. So it's coming together. It's coming together. Shkoyach. Okay, we're going to join together for Adon Olam on page 34. Adon Olam is on page 34. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'et Nasa B'chevzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yachad Rei Kitlo Takol Levado Yimloch Nora Vehu Haya Vehu Hove Vehu Yeh Betifara Vehu Echad V'ein Sheni Lecham Shilo Lechachbira Beli Reshit Beli Tachli Velo Haoz Vehamizra Vehu Eli Vechaya Goali Vetzor Hevli V'Yesara Vehu Nisi Umanosli Menat Kosi Beyom Ekra V'Ya'ado Avkid Ruchi V'Yet Ishan V'Ya'ira V'Im Ruchi Geviati Adonai Li Belo Ira. Good Shabbos, everyone.